This episode of the podcast has been brought to you by Sweet Cheetah Publicity. Sweet Cheetah is an inclusive, socially conscious PR collective that puts their money where their mouth is. They have a current roster of bands that reads like a greatest hits anthology. Brainiac, Catholic School, Jawbox, The New Amsterdams, Oceans in the Sky. I mean, the list goes on and on. They also do PR for record labels such as A La Carte, Arctic Rodeo, Steadfast, Rad Girlfriend, and so many more. How do they pay it forward? How do they put their money where their mouth is? By generating thousands of dollars in annual charitable donations to the likes of Women in Vinyl, Coalition of Communities of Color, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and many, many more. The man has the receipts. I've seen them. It is real. The artists, labels, and podcasts Sweet Cheetah works with are curated with an eye on working primarily with friends. You could find Sweet Cheetah on all of the social media platforms, be it Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just look for Sweet Cheetah PR and they will be there. He's been Tim, I've been Peter, and Sweet Cheetah has been beautiful.
If I'm the curse to win this, I would. If I could to win this, I would.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Book of Very, Very Bad Things podcast. I am your host, Peter, and there but by the grace of God, I am still here. Tonight on the episode, we have something a little different for you all. If you're familiar at all with Akron family, with Angels of Light, yes, that Angels of Light, the one that has associations with the one and only Swans, we have Dana Janssen, otherwise known as Dana Buoy. Tonight on the show, we discuss, among other things, his new album, Experiments in Plant-Based Music, Volume 1. Where did the inspiration for this come from? Well, a home full of houseplants is a part of it. Also, and more importantly, Mort Garson's Mother Earth's Plantasia album. He made beats to go along with this album and used those beats to make his own record. We discuss this. We discuss his time alongside Angels of Light, alongside Akron family. His entire life's journey kind of gets encapsulated into this really great, succinct episode where no punches are pulled, no emotion is spared, and it really gets down to the meat of what it takes to make a record of this magnitude. This is different. This is something you've probably never heard before. This is something that I've never covered before on this podcast, which is very exciting. This is a new form of music that I've never broached. Picture Steely Dan. Picture Angels of Light. Picture Mort Garson. And so many other disparate influences. The Grateful Dead. It's all baked into this. It's really exciting. I don't want to bog it down. I had a great time with Dana. We had actually a lot in common, a lot of, similar tastes, a lot of similar sensibilities, and it was a lot of fun getting to know this character. I can't wait to talk to him again. He's a great guy. That being said, this is Dana Buoy on the Book of Very, Very Bad Things podcast. Hello, Dana.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I just had a few technical issues here on an island in the Pacific Northwest, but aside from that, I'm doing really great.
I kind of can't fault you for that. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, kind of in my idea of paradise,
Yeah,
I'm
oh,
not I'm not gonna hate you for it.
we share the same idea of paradise. I'm currently on Orcas Island, and if you've been up here in the San Juans, this is my first time in the San Juans, and I got to tell you, man, I feel uh, like a fool for not coming up sooner. It's really
you're
absolutely beautiful.
you're feeling that whole the serenity vibe that's inherent to that area apparently then.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
When we rolled in last night, it was definitely like proper stormy swell of the ocean, kind of like showing you its power, which was like super cool to see, but also intimidating. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot. But
sure.
today the weather was perfect, and we got to hike, and it's been real magical.
I have friends in the area and I've visited numerous times. Every time I've gotten a different kind of a facet of what that area has to offer,
Yeah,
all of it magnanimous
yeah,
at
yeah,
the very
totally,
least. You know what I mean? Like I always felt so small in the best way possible.
totally,
If that
totally.
makes any sense to you at all,
No,
because it
100%, 100%, man. Because I mean, you just start to see like just I mean, it's like it's it's a majesty, I guess, right? It's just like this huge yeah, just presentation of Earth's beauty. It's really cool. And just getting to see it like this is great. Like we're at this place called Doe Bay, and it has like a little resort set up here. So it's real special cabin that just looks out over the ocean, and just like a little spa over there that looks out over too, which we just got out of, and so I'm feeling nice and relaxed and cool.
nice. So are you on tour right now? Is that what's going on, or you're just
No, this is just a kind of a getaway weekend for me and some friends. It's just kind of like we've been a friend has a birthday this weekend and came out to visit, and so it's just a good excuse to get up here.
so that's a long way from 18 years ago in Williamsburg,
Yeah, it's a
you
little
know,
bit different.
a
A
little
little
bit
bit
different.
different. I mean, it's much better out here. I gotta tell you. I know. I was actually just reminiscing about Williamsburg back in the 2000s when I was there with with my buddy Stefan, who's here for his birthday, and it was such a great time to be in New York. You know what I mean? Like I feel like everything was just really creative. You know, a lot of great bands were showing up, and just like people had cool takes on music, and it was just vibrant. You know, it was really special.
I mean, think about just what you guys were doing back then.
Yeah,
You got to kind of like link up with Micheal Gira, like of
yeah,
Swans, who informed a great amount of my own musical,
yeah,
oeuvre. Everything that I
totally.
really loved about music in the early 90s was
Yeah.
informed by him.
Wow.
And you guys were very in tune with that. I mean, even though Neurosis is in kind of a weird place right now, they were very informed by Swans, as
Right.
a lot of the music I was very into at that time period had been. And
Hmm.
you guys, what was great is you weren't, but you
Yeah.
still fit in, and
Yeah.
it all kind of made sense. But I think what's kind of amazing about what you're doing now is it's so far removed from that it makes sense along with it, because it's so singular and it's so your own. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And
Totally.
you've been doing this for a decade now, but
Hmm.
experiments in plant-based music, this is its own thing, even insofar as the discography of Dana Bowie.
Yeah.
This is
100%.
its own thing. Could you kind of expound upon that for us?
Yeah. Totally. Well, a lot of what happened was when I first started the Dana Bowie project, it was kind of like I was really into electronic music at the time, and sort of, well, I mean, I've always been inspired by like, I mean, hip hop was like my first passionate music that I was passionate about. And so a lot of that was like MPC, like sample chopping and things like that. And so I got
Yeah.
into like electronic music in that way. So I bought an MPC and sort of had this like kind of just, it was a new way for me to write and sort of compose, you know?
Yeah.
So it definitely pushed me into like an inherently different territory than I was familiar with. Because I mean, with Akron, it was all drums, guitar, bass in studios, and like just what I was used to. And so it was nice. And when I first started this project, it was like more of an outlet to kind of get some of like the different ideas that I had in terms of like the electronic music I was listening to at the time, or like the more hip hop oriented like things I was listening to. I just wanted to have an outlet to kind of like try to uh, do that. And then, I kind of followed that for a while with a few releases. And over the past few years, my wife and I bought a house. And so I finally had some space to kind of like, set up my drums and just leave them there. And then we were living by ourselves, the two of us, for the first time in 6 years. So I could set up my drums, get some mics out, and record with my principal instrument again. And so it was pretty cool because like I hadn't got to do that in maybe 6 years or so, and so that was sort of where this new record, Experiments Plant-Based Music, is kind of coming from. Like just circumstances kind of opening the door to being able to just record my drums, and stuff like that. But plus there was also like this idea that I had for the whole thing at the beginning. I was really inspired by Mort Garson's Plantasia.
The original,
original plant-based music. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But he, as you know, there's not like really many drums on that record, right? And so there's a few like electronic beats that happen here and there, but I had an idea to record myself playing the drums along to that album, and then just taking those drum parts and have those inform like the shapes of the songs and sort of the emotional context in terms of like the rhythmic propulsion, and just start there.
Shit. That's crazy. Totally. That's crazy because like when I'd seen, the title of the record, first thing that comes to mind is that album. And Sacred Bones just reissued that record.
Exactly.
And I have an original from
my
uncle from when it first came out.
The 70s, yeah.
The 70s, and he was ahead for sure. And he was into the good. So he turned me on to it back then. I'd experienced it. It resonated but didn't make sense to me. Until I got much older, I'd reached my 20s. I'm in my late 40s now. But at that time period, I was kind of like going through the motions of finding my way through music, be it, Iggy and the Stooges, be it T-Rex, who were a big one.
Mark Bolan, huge fan.
Amazing. Finding my way through all that and really finding an identity in the microcosm of this little niche record that not a whole lot of people had heard, but if they had, it really made an impact. So I hear this title. This guy's listening to this, and if you hear Akron Family, it makes sense that this guy likes this stuff, right?
Yeah,
it just kind of comes out in the wash. So you saying that gives a lot of prescience and context to this. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but please continue.
No, totally. Yeah. So that was like the nucleus of the idea. And then I started there with like the drum parts, and then kind of just started to put chords into them. And I was like really wanted to challenge myself to use chords that I've never really used before, like more like kind of Steely Dan type chords, where it's like just a lot of 7s, 9s, 13s, and like all kind of diminished to like major, it's just really like interesting transitional, the way that they structure it. It's cool. I've been thinking it's really cool. And so I wanted to use that sort of, those sounds, like those chord sounds when I did this record. So, so I guess those were the two inspirational touch points that brought it kind of to that. And at that point I did the drums, I did the guitar, I did the bass, I did the keys all myself. But I wanted to sort of reach out to other collaborators and get some more, different voices involved. So I reached out to my friend, Justin Miller, who I grew up with, and he played the bass on most of the songs, replaced the bass on most of the songs. And then I reached out to a friend, Kelly Pratt, who is a horn player and has played with like everybody he's currently playing with Father John Misty, and he's done shows with like Arcade Fire and David Byrne, and like he's just a super talented dude. But he got really excited about it and brought all the horn arrangements to the record. And when I heard that, I was just really it really turned it into like a new piece, and so it just kind of at that point it was really starting to get a life of its own.
He brought the Brian Wilson to it in a big
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
if that makes sense to you, because like there's all of that, the horn arrangements on Smiley Smile, that they're not even buried. They're very upfront, almost as upfront as the vocal arrangements on Smiley Smile,
Yeah.
that really make that record feel alive
Yeah,
and
totally.
vibrant. And I feel that on this piece, like the whole thing.
Nice.
There's so much Brian Wilson on it to me.
Yeah,
That
thanks,
I
man.
don't
I mean,
I don't think that's accidental.
no, I'm a huge fan. I mean, I've always loved the Beach Boys, right? Like, huge fan. Got a
Yeah.
chance to see them, when they were doing the tour. Brian Wilson was doing his tour, and actually, I got a hoodie at that show, and it's in my kick drum currently, and it's real fun because I get to look at it and remember that show all the time. But yeah, for sure, I feel
That's
like it was
awesome.
kind of, yeah, he has this like just an interesting approach to like kind of make it just different, and I think that was
Mhm.
something that always kind of like inspired me, is to just not have it well, just to try to make things unique, I guess, is what I have always sort of looked at him for. But I mean, that's neat, that's flattering that it translates like that.
It does. It comes across, and it's very organic. It doesn't seem like derivative either. But
Nice. Nice.
the rumor was like you were living in Portland in a room full of plants, and that was like the that was the impetus. I don't think that's the truth, but
Wait, sorry, it paused for a second there. You said in Portland in a room full of what?
in a room full of house plants.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is our house. Like, so my wife she's the one that has a green thumb, and
Okay.
and ever since we got the house to our own space to ourselves, she's been what's the word? Enthusiastically putting plants everywhere in the house, right? So there's literally like maybe the last time I counted, it was up to, I don't know if it was 18 or 19 plants in the bathroom alone, which
Oh
isn't like a
my.
big bathroom. No, totally. And so I'm just kind of like, wait, babe. I mean, some of them are small for sure, but like just still like all of it. And it's great. And it's really like lovely. And the plants love the new house. Like we have this Monstera that when we got to the house, it was three leaves total that were about the size of like footballs, maybe,
Yeah.
And since we've been in the new house, it has just, it's taken over like Little Shop of Horrors. Like it's literally to the ceiling in the living room, and it has maybe 15 leaves that are all huge, humongous.
I believe I've seen a picture of you in a chair
In Yeah, in Instagram.
stroking the Monstera.
Yeah, that's that's the one. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. I figured as much. I figured as much. That's amazing. Um,
Yeah,
so there's
but so
you're
so a
living
lot,
with a lot of fresh air, apparently.
yeah, a lot of fresh air, totally. And so one of the approaches that I did want to take with this was to kind of like so the song names on Plantasia, right? They have like your spider plants, begonias, and you don't have to walk a begonia. And we have most of those plants in the house. And so I was like, well, I might as well just, bring it into the room and sort of like hang out with it while I'm writing a song about it.
Yeah.
And so that was part of it. It was like kind of like just sit in the room with these plants and vibe with them and just kind of see, if it added anything to the experience. And I mean, I think it does. It has. Are you a fan of the Grateful Dead at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
Especially
record.
early Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. But there's I forget which record it is. Maybe it might be Working Man's Dead or something. But there's a story I heard about Phil Lesh. They recorded the album and he said that it needed something. It just wasn't quite right. They mixed it and it just wasn't quite right. And so what he wanted to do was he went out into the desert with a microphone and he recorded desert air for like an entire evening, hours. And they just put a track of desert air under the entire album. And he was like,
That's Working Man's Dead.
it's
That's
perfect,
Yeah.
So I feel like having the plants in the room was kind of my desert air approach to the songwriting.
Well, there's proof that plants have an emotional reaction to music.
Yeah, The Secret Life of Plants.
Yeah, that's why The Secret Life of Plants came into being. That record it's predisposed upon this study that had been done that plants have an emotional reaction to classical music specifically, but even negative influences make them wilt, and
Yeah,
it's proven. It's a proven fact.
totally. There was a
So,
guy that did the military experiments with like the polygraph tests, and where
mhm.
he would do a test with like the matches and burning a plant. Um, and did you know that? Have you read these things already? I don't want to
Yeah,
like try to
no,
rehash it, but like when I was reading about those, I'm just, oh my God, it was incredible that the plant reacted to his actual intention of burning it. You know,
yeah.
I was truly blown away by that.
It to me it makes sense. I mean, I'm a plant-based being myself. That's what I live off of.
Yeah.
And when you really get into this though and start to empathize with it, it makes you even feel like terrible about the fact that you subsist off of plant-based materials. Uh, can we get away with not doing that? No, because everything is biological on this planet. So at some
Hmm.
point, we're
Hmm.
saprophytic to that specific being. But
Yeah.
I'm not killing other mammals. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
hooray for me, I guess. But
Congratulations.
but you know what I mean. There's that aspect of surviving on this
Yeah.
planet that
Yeah.
begs you to subsist upon another living creature. It
Yeah.
sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But at the very least, if you could live in harmony with the things around you, take the American Indian approach.
Yeah. I was gonna
That
say, man, I think that if you just have the right perspective on it, it doesn't have to be like it can be beautiful, the fact that we get to use other living things to keep the life in ourselves going, and then we give back to it when we go. Well, I mean, I guess that's a discussion that we're gonna have. In terms of that's a big topic, burials, things of that nature. I feel like we should all do burlap sacks at the bottom of trees to kind of just go back to earth as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that makes a
Um,
lot of sense, actually.
yeah, or drop in the ocean for the orcas out here or something.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I lost track of what I was talking about.
No, just remaining, kind of like within the cycle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We feed off of that, so let's feed the thing that we feed off of. There's that cycle, that reciprocity that's inherent to nature,
totally, totally, totally.
that factory farming and things of that nature are flying in the face of.
Yeah, yeah. Monsanto.
No, Monsanto killed my father, Agent Orange.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
For real, yeah, seriously.
Fucking,
Well,
I'm so
Agent
sorry to
Orange
hear
killed an entire generation of men who
that.
were Vietnam veterans,
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
you know, uh, that notwithstanding, they're still having a field day with the genetics of children ad nauseum because they genetically engineered the seeds of plants so
Yeah,
that
to
they
be sterile and
to be
yeah, you
sterile.
can't. Yeah, you can't replicate our food.
No, like
Copywriting.
they are the mothers and fathers of the GMO, as it were.
Yeah,
What other country could that really take place in other than the United States?
yeah,
That's
yeah, totally.
terrible idea.
It's
I,
it's a
I
very
think that
bad idea.
it's a terrible idea, and I think that's also what's kind of great about the life force behind what this record's about, even though it's electronic based, with the exception of like there are actual analog instrumentation going on in the context of this record. It's electronic based, but it's still in tune with and in league with something
Hmm.
natural, organic, and
Hmm.
perennial to the earth.
Hmm. Yeah,
That dichotomy isn't lost on me either.
yeah.
Did that kind of come into play for you too, as far as like being conscious of that whole ebb and flow of it?
A little bit. I mean, in terms of like, did I like want to use that same approach for where I was going with it?
Kinda, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, a little bit. I don't know if I've actually like necessarily realized that as much as the way you say it is. It's really nice. It's really, you say it really well. It's beautiful. The yeah. I think I
Uh,
was more responding to like compositional elements in it. Like the just more of the emotional aspects of it, I think. But But that's a really interesting perspective on it.
I'm a nerd
I
though,
mean,
Dan. I mean,
no, this is good. Me too. Me too. This is great. I mean, I'm definitely gonna like now like just marinate on that for a while after the conversation.
that wasn't lost on me. Like having listened to, the 4 tracks I've gotten to hear off of it.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
this is music, kind of dedicated to the organic, but it's still it has synthetic elements, but it's
Hmm.
still it's still
100%.
directed by an organic being,
Yeah.
uh, and there's that dichotomy to it that makes it even more beautiful because you're using the synthetic to
Yeah.
pay tribute to the organic, pay
Yeah.
tribute to that all that is natural and, as I'd said, perennial.
Yeah.
This is what we're supposed to be of, from, and about.
Hmm.
And
Totally.
using this very human thing, which is synthetic, to give your own prayer to that which is natural, it makes it all the more beautiful.
Thanks, man. Yeah, yeah, I feel like that there's something about, just synthesizers that really have a ability to kind of texture things in a way that really like ignites my imagination.
Mhm.
And so just kind of, I didn't want to abandon that when I was like, I made a very specific decision to choose the palette of drum set, guitar, bass, keys. And in that keys category, that includes like synthesizers and things of that nature, and vocals obviously too. But committing to that palette was like an intentional thing. But I definitely wanted to keep like, the synth vibe that was present in the original nucleus of the idea. Kind of keep that going through the entire record.
And this
And I
record,
mean, as from like all the music that I was doing being electronic music, I mean, I'm definitely like a synth nerd. And so I'm like,
yeah.
the majority of it's like, Digitone, FM synth, things that I've dialed in, which are, I'm not going to start geeking out on that too much right now, but
Well, I have a lot of synths behind me right now on
yeah,
shelves.
I
I
was
mean, that,
trying to like look over your shoulder.
yeah,
Actually, wait, I'm
yeah,
trying to remember the record up in in the right, the top right of your screen. It's other
right,
side, be
right
over
there.
your left shoulder. No, over your left shoulder. The up the
That's
top one.
quicksand.
Quicksand. Yes, quicksand. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I had
that's manic compression right there. That's their
yeah,
second record.
the second one.
Um,
Yeah, the first one was with the divers on it, right?
yeah,
Or a
that's
diver going
slip,
slip.
the
Yeah.
two
Oh my
divers. Yeah,
God.
yeah. And
Yo.
before that was the self-titled on Revelation Records. That was when hardcore became awesome. And I loved hardcore before that, but when Walter from Gorilla Biscuits and Youth of Today did his
Yeah.
own thing and got into quicksand, oh my God, fucking
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I got
it
good.
became, when hardcore became art was when
Yeah.
quicksand came out with Slip, and then that record, Manic Compression.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
to get off track, but
No,
I
no,
mean,
those albums are incredible. And because I haven't like listened to them since I was 19 maybe, but uh I loved those two records. Like they were like the heavy rotation for
oh yeah,
teenage Dana.
yeah. I mean, and it makes sense because they begged exploration.
Yeah, right. I feel like there was well, that was the thing that was really hip about them was that they like they used harmony more than I had been used to hearing at that time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I was like listening
we were
to like
Revelation
bands that are
Records.
like, yeah, yeah. I'm
We
like
were
listening
into
to bands that are
Symphodol.
just
We were
like
into shit like that, you know?
exactly, exactly, totally. And so like I'm hearing these harmonies, I'm just like, oh my God, what is this, dude? Tell
That's
me more.
and that's what it is. And I think there's bands like Tool who kind of
Hmm.
called, like, if you listen to Quicksand Slip and listen to that the not acoustic but the instrumental track off that record, is called Baphomet. It
Yeah,
sounds like everything off of the Tool Undertow record.
yeah, yeah,
It's like the blueprint for that album, and it came out a year and a
yeah,
half later. You know, they
yeah.
were listening to that and being like, okay, yeah, this is the direction we need to go in right now.
Totally, totally,
You know what I
totally.
mean? And then they
Yeah.
never cop to it because they're like, oh, we're very brilliant, and
We're
they are,
geniuses, man.
and they kind of are. I'm not gonna shit on Tool. They're actually, I think, very literate musicians.
Yeah, they're incredible. Incredible.
They're incredible, but Quicksand slipped it at first,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
came out of left field a lot quicker in 1991 than it did in 1993.
Yeah. I mean, if MTV had heard about Quicksand.
And they did. They just passed on it.
Really?
They did. They just passed on it. Yeah, yeah. Because there were Dine Alone had a video, as did Phaser. There were a couple songs off that record that had, money behind them.
Yeah.
Single with videos behind them. It was just like, it's the same thing with Orange 9mm.
Love Orange 9.
Me too. And after Chaka did Burn, Orange 9 had money behind them, and they did videos, and it didn't sell. It didn't sell. I don't know why. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Into Another the band Into Another should have been massive. They were like Black Sabbath meets prog rock meets hardcore. They were all of that, and it never went anywhere because it was too literate, apparently.
Right.
I think that's the same thing with Akron Family. Akron Family was way too musically literate to be big.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off, but it was a great home to be on Young God because you were in with the intellectual listener.
People that would like put on the album and like listen to the album. You know what I mean?
Drop the needle, side A, and then the only move that's being made is, I'm flipping it to side B.
Totally.
Drop the needle all the way through. And
Exactly. It felt like we had access to that because Michael really like curated that audience, in a lot of ways, like attention, which is rare.
He loved you guys, and there were very few bands outside of Swans that were on Young God. Think about it, really.
No, it's true. It was like us, Devendra, me and Lau.
Yeah.
There's a few, but it really wasn't many. And then he just only did Swans, right? Is he still making records?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he's still doing Micheal Gira records. He's still doing Swans. He's not doing any of the like Angels of Light anymore.
Angels of Light, yeah.
But
he's done being sensitive.
He's done being sensitive, but that Angels of Light period was the Akron Family period.
Yeah.
Because he did the split with you guys, and then when the Seer came out, you guys that was basically you guys with Michael.
Yeah, we were the backing band on that one.
You were you were in the Swans.
That's a weird thing. Well, it was Angels of Light.
The Seer was the Swans record.
Oh, the Seer was the Swans record.
Did
we do the Seer? Were we on the Seer?
Yes, you did.
That was a Swans record? That was under Swans?
That was a Swans record.
Oh,
the Seer was a Swans record. It had the wolf face on it.
Yeah. With the bone in his hand.
Yeah, you were on, dude. You were the fucking drummer on that album.
That's right. That's right. I forgot.
That was you.
No, I didn't forget about that. I guess I didn't realize that was under the Swans moniker. But that feels good. I caught them when they were here in Portland, pre-pandemic, and I made it a little past halfway through the set before I had to go cry and reestablish a grounded connection to humans.
I've had experiences at Swans shows where I've been close to nervous breakdowns, and it's intense. And the first time I'd seen the Swans was 1990.
Oh wow!
And it was, I'm 46. I'm
old. But I mean, like, that's like Swans of like fucking heyday era, right?
Yeah. And I'd seen them, and I'd seen the whole show, but I mean, I wasn't even doing drugs at this show, and I was known for my drug experimentation. Enthusiasm is a great way to put it. And I hadn't taken anything. I didn't need to. It was very transformative. It hurt.
Yeah. Well, I think that was his intent. Like, and it's cool, man. I feel like he's an artist, like it was, I don't think I'd seen or anybody had really seen someone willing to go into like that depth of I mean it's definitely a vulnerability, but it's also like so dark that it's kind of just like I'm failing to find the right word to like to articulate it, but like it's the first time I like people I feel had seen somebody go into like that area, you know what I mean?
Oh
In a way
yeah.
that was like you can watch, you know, in a way that you can like be entertained by.
And it was to the detriment of his own personal relationships.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
e- I don't even think he and Jarbo talk anymore.
they do not. Well, at least when we were working together, they did not. They hadn't spoken in quite some time. And then we
I
did
know
some
they did a couple
tours.
shows. They did some shows together, and I had the opportunity to interview Jarbo, and the 0 hour came, and some personal shit happened, and I didn't get to do it. And she
Oh
and I have these personal friends in common, and I'm sure I could have cleared some things up, but as of now, it's still a mystery.
yeah,
But I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know if you've gotten to see that documentary, but she took part in
Which
that,
which one?
the Swans documentary.
What?
It,
Wait, oh, just
it,
on Swans only?
yeah,
No, I haven't seen that yet.
it's 3 hours long,
Oh, like a Swans concert. It better be.
like a Swans concert. Absolutely. But what I found so fascinating about your association with them is what you guys had done was very beautiful, very mellifluous. There was not like there was intensity, but it wasn't trying to push people away. It
Mm.
was saccharine. There was a lot of beauty and love involved, and it was
Hmm.
inviting. It was inviting.
Yeah.
You're playing in this coffee shop in Williamsburg, and people were just they wanted
Hmm.
in. They weren't
Yeah.
repulsed like the Swans.
Right.
And,
Right. Right.
and you have somebody like Micheal Gira going, yeah, I want that too.
Yeah.
What a testament
It
to
was.
your
Yeah.
abilities.
No, it was amazing, man. I remember like so it was what 2004, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2004. We had like Seth and I had just finished putting together 100, maybe between 50 and 100 CDs in these vellum envelopes, and we're going to mail them out to all these labels to see if anybody's interested. And you know, we heard back from two labels.
Mm.
Merge Records sent us a postcard that was like, "Hey, we got your submission. Thanks for sending that to us. Our hands are full right now, but keep up the great work." And I thought it was cool that they took the time to respond. I was like, "Oh, that's really
Well,
sweet
it's
of
super
them." Because
chunk. I mean, they're not going to be dead.
yeah, totally, totally. You know, and nobody else did, except for the other person we heard back from, which was Michael, and he had just gotten finished with putting out Avengers Records, and he had
Yeah.
time on his hands, and we were going to do a residency at Pete's Candy Store, and we invited him to come check it out because he was like, "Oh, I want to see the band live. You know, what is this?"
Mm.
And we're doing a residency. He's like, we're doing all 4 Sundays. Come out to whichever one you want. And he came to the first one, and then he was like, "Oh my God, I love this." And he came to all four of them. Like every week, he came up to because he was living in Park Slope. He would
Yeah.
come up to Williamsburg and check it out. And this is like, Pete's Candy Store is like it's a train car.
I know it
It's
is.
like
I know it is.
it's
I've
like
been there.
12 people. So it's very obvious who the man in the back with the cowboy hat going, who that guy is, And it's like we
You
didn't
know, it's
really,
Micheal Gira on the back
yeah,
for
everyone
sure.
knows it's Michael, but I mean, I never met him, I didn't really know, but I was just like, what is this guy? But he was just there, like a fan, and it was cool. I was just like, dude, this is awesome. This guy's like really enthusiastic about what's going on, and we went to his house, and for to sign the record contract, man. This was like the first time I had ever seen like this part of the world or of the industry, and I was kind of like as a kid I thought it would be very different. I thought
Yeah.
my first record deal would be like going up on on Park Avenue, maybe like the 23rd floor of the place in Midtown, and lawyer's
Yep.
office, signing a contract and just kind of a bunch of paperwork. But it was not like that. It was just in his living room, and it was really relaxed and really transparent and really clear. And I really appreciated that. And he told us why it was like that, because he was like, I mean, I was on a major label, and I've had these
Yeah.
experiences.
And he
And
got
if
fucked.
you and he got fucked, exactly. And he's like, if you if you're interested in hearing my story and like my approach and why I'm going to do it like this, and he explained it to us, and like just kind of, it was a really cool and generous like way to kind of to go about doing our partnership together, which was cool. Yeah, and I really look back fondly on those collaborations. I thought it was really great.
But with what you're doing now, this is all self-driven at this point, correct?
Yeah, yeah. This is just, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like once I left New York, you know, I didn't have to like hustle as hard. And so I
Mhm.
kind of got a chance to like just relax a little bit, which was nice. But at the same time, it's like I had to learn how to like motivate myself again. I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck? I'm too comfy. And
Well,
so over
because
the past 5 years,
you don't have a bunch of guys telling you we got to get this
yeah.
done, and
Well,
then
no,
there's this.
totally. Exactly. Like there's no like, yeah, exactly. That was like, that's been one of the harder parts of doing this project on my own is, I mean, like I have a band that I play with consistently, which is great. But it's still like, you know, like I'm like doing the music videos and doing all the, you know, it's just me doing it, which is, it's hard to like, yeah, motivate yourself to do everything and to find the time to do everything on top of your life, you know? And so it's like, it's been a busy couple of years trying to put this all together. But it's really, you know, I'm excited about the work, and so it's been worth every second of it. And you know, I'm really stoked on the album. And I fuck, I can't even believe I haven't mentioned this yet, but getting to mix with John McIntyre was like
Jesus.
just like a dream come true, you know? Like I grew up a big Tortoise fan, you know, like huge. TNT was like a big record for me, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody who doesn't like Tortoise is a little weird, but that's just,
what is it?
you know
Well,
what
they
I
just
mean?
haven't heard it, so you know, it's like, you know, maybe they just don't know. But
Tortoise has done like horror movie soundtracks. They're an incredible like collective of musicians.
yeah,
I
oh
mean,
my God, dude, Jeff Parker's new record, oof.
oh my God. But you know what? That's one of those things. Like, if you're not a musician or you're not like tuned into quarter stick records and slant and Tortoise and Yola Tango, you probably don't know this stuff. But if
Yeah,
you're of a certain age group, of a certain era, of a, you know
yeah,
what I mean, of a certain scene, then it's inescapable for you and I
yeah, totally,
because that was our thing. But everybody
100%.
else, you know, they're just they make some really cool stuff on the soundtrack of a movie, you know, and that's kind
Yeah,
of where that ends.
yeah, yeah,
But for you to have that involvement and that
dude, it was
access,
great. Well, it was like it wasn't anything that was like expected. Like I really had no idea. So I mixed the whole record myself first and was
yeah,
like, and I got it. I feel like I can like my setup at home. Maybe I can get things like 80% of the way to like where I
mhm.
want it to sound, but then there's just like this certain magic that I don't know how to achieve on my own yet. And so
face the need. Move wide, relate to late. To what we create. Never is bad, never is bad, never is bad. All we do, keep it from mind. Keep it from mind. Never is bad, never is bad, never is bad. All we do, keep it from mind. Keep it from mind. Never is bad, never is bad, never is bad. All we do, keep it from mind. Keep it from mind.
Was talking with the label Everloving, and Andy, anything about him, and I opened it up and it's John McIntyre, and I was like, oh yeah, what about him? I mean, is this a possibility? And we just wrote him an email, and
Yeah.
he just happened to have time, and so it worked out, and I was really excited about it. I feel like he knocked it out of the park. Like, I sent it to him and kind of just told him what I was going for, you know, and it was really an effortless, you know, workflow, just to kind of like let him do his thing and then kind of make my comments and then come back, and it was cool. It was cool. And I think he did a really great job. And so, yeah, that's been a bit of a, well, like something I've been pretty excited and proud about this record.
You have to understand with somebody like him too, he has this idea of space and sound that occupies a space. Like, did you ever hear the soundtrack that he was involved in for the movie Lovely Molly?
No,
It was directed by one of the two directors of the Blair Witch Project,
oh, cool.
Eduardo Sanchez, and he got Tortoise to do the soundtrack to it.
Nice.
And of course, who's in charge of the sound design and all of that? Same gentleman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's at times just complete and utter like saccharine beauty to cacophonous madness
Nice.
on the turn of a dime.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because he's like that. He has that.
Yeah.
He understands that sonic palette, and he pulled that off with aplomb.
yeah.
I beg you, once this is over, you're home, you're bored, whatever, just go check out the soundtrack
yeah.
to Lovely Molly. It's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, no, I'm putting that in a mental note right now. Check that out. And this is like the right season, right? Where it's a horror movie.
Very
yeah,
much
perfect.
so. Very much
Oh,
so.
thank
I
you.
mean, you know, the veil is thinning and it's getting creepy, but
Yeah.
you know, to me, it seems like you're not living in that kind of environment, though, where then the spookiness kind of gets in.
Oh, what, up here?
Yeah, I've been there a million times.
Where are you? Where are you based?
I'm based in the Scranton, Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, nice, dude. Grant Wilkes-Barre, man.
Yep.
Well, you know, I
Scranton,
grew up
Wilkes-Barre.
there in Williamsport. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you're from Williamsport. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, man, that place is. I had to leave Williamsport.
well, I mean, what's from Williamsport besides poison?
Little League baseball.
Baseball and poison.
Yeah,
That's what you get. That's what you
true.
get. But you know,
That's a fact.
this whole part of Pennsylvania is very coal mine oppressed. As
Yeah.
a lot of the musicians that I'm friends with from here say, we're simple mines and coal mines, and that's about all you get. And there's a few really brilliant musicians that come out in the wash,
Mhm.
and then that's all you get. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the people, even
Yeah,
if they're
yeah.
terrible. I love the people because I'm from those people.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I don't want to fucking be here. If my mom
Yeah.
wasn't here, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. So, I mean,
You know?
if I didn't have my brother living in State College, 45 minutes away from my mom, I feel like there might be a different bit of a feeling going on about it.
Right.
big bros out there, you know, so it's fine.
Yeah, and that's what it is, really.
Thank you,
Like,
Christopher.
thanks for tying me to this shithole. But the only thing good about where we're from is the mountainous,
Hmm.
you know, the greenery, the
Yeah.
uh, you know, bucolic nature of the rolling hills of
Yeah.
Appalachia. And
Yeah, man.
that's us, man.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's nice. I mean, like going to the creek in the summer and just jumping in the river and, you know, like just really easy living, which I think is part of the thing. It's just too easy, you know? It's like, I don't know. I feel like that's, you can get comfortable. You get comfortable in the thing and the routines. And then anytime something changes out of that, it's like, oh, that's a problem, you know? And so it's kind of,
That's
yeah,
why I ran away to New York City when I was 17.
yeah, same.
You know, I mean, understandably, you know, that's why I remember seeing you guys in Williamsburg way back because I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my world.
When were you there?
93 through 2005.
Okay, nice. So, yeah, that's great. So
So
you saw a lot of change.
I did because I went there for NYU and good hip hop
Nice.
and hardcore,
Hmm.
and I watched Giuliani destroy the city. But then, like, as much as I bitch about that, I watched Williamsburg go from being like the Wu-Tang firefight of it all to being
Yeah.
actually like this hub of culture.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
yuppie, but not
Well,
then.
now it's weird. Yeah, now it's like Apple stores and shit. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, back then we had coffee shops where we could go play open mic nights, intermingled
The
with
Verb.
the Verb. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But there were things to do. You could go and do like a poetry night and just
Yeah.
like get crazy with it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
There you wouldn't have, you know, Akron Family, you wouldn't have Arcade Fire, you wouldn't have a lot of these bands without that scene at that time
Yeah.
period.
No, totally, man. Totally. Like there was all the did you watch that Kill Your Idols documentary
Yes.
about like the scene back then, kind of like
Yeah.
they're talking to the yeahs and like, you know, a few other like
Interpol.
Interpol, yeah. But then they also were talking to like DNA and like Micheal and Thurston from like the no wave scene and like connecting the scene that was starting in the 2000s and how a lot of those bands were like referencing sounds from like the no wave scene in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And I thought that was really awesome to like kind of get there and see and be a part of like that kind of like art rock revitalization, you know, like we're kids that are now like we're listening to like, you know, our Reese Chatham and Glenn Bronca records, and you know, we're gonna go play in that 100 guitar orchestra and like do some different kind of things. I feel like a lot of people were embracing that kind of compositional mindset, which was really fucking great.
Oh
Plus,
yeah,
like
because-
Oneida was on the scene, man. Remember Oneida? My God,
I love Oneida.
that guy.
fucking so good. So
So
good.
good.
And to me, like they're just continuing on what early Sonic Youth, Noi, Suicide, what they were all doing, you know, the no wave thing, or pig fucker music as they called it.
Right.
Which people don't realize that's what
called that yet. I
never
never heard that. No.
Oh wow, yeah. That they called it pig fucker music, pig fuck. That was early Sonic Youth, that was Noi, that was Suicide. Because no one really had a word for it yet. It was no wave. But before it was
eventually,
no wave,
but yeah.
Before that it was pig
fucker.
Pig fuck, yeah. Yeah. And that was even before me.
Guys, the Village Voice isn't going to print that it's called pig fucker. What are we going to call this stuff?
No wave. Or as like the early 90s happened, the year punk broke.
Yeah.
But what I find kind of fascinating about like your involvement in that whole renaissance of the no wave, the reinvention of no wave is you're moving into a palette that is distinctly your own at this point. There's nobody like 100% who could put a stamp on it and be like, I did that first.
Right.
You know, this has its own, Plantasia has its mark on it, but so does Brian Wilson, so does Thurston Moore, so does,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're not adhering to anybody's rules at this point.
Well, I think that, right. Well, yeah, I think that like if you just like, I don't know, man, you hear enough things and I had, I mean, I think I respond to a lot of music, and so that helps, like
Yeah.
I recently started like opening my ears to country music in new ways, and so I'm just kind of like, which has always been a bit of a line for me, I'm just kind of like,
Me
I mean, I've
too.
listened to like, I like Bob Dylan's version of country and, shit like that, but like,
Outlaw
like other
country.
countries.
Outlaw
What?
country is the best country.
Yeah, exactly. That's like what I had been familiar with. Like I was like, oh, anyway. But like, different kinds of country recently, I've been like, I don't know, maybe it's not bad, But
Yeah.
anyway, like in saying that, just to sort of like, I feel like part of maybe the success of that observation would be like just kind of having like all those different influences and kind of maybe pulling the right parts to combine to make something of its own,
Yeah.
which is what everybody's doing, I mean, everybody's like, influenced by something. And so, um, but I feel like yeah, I mean, I've never wanted to like sound like other people, so I guess it has been an intention to be its own unique thing. But I mean, I feel like, excuse me, I feel like you just kind of end up getting lucky in a lot of ways if that happens to be the case, because I mean, like,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I've set out to make something specifically not anything else, and it sounds like, something that I've heard 30 times before at the end of it, and I'm just like, well, where did I go wrong? How did this end up here? What have I done? But so yeah, I feel like if that's how it's coming across, that's lucky. I feel like that's really intentional, but also like lucky.
Yeah, I don't find it intentional. I find it to be that there's an individuality that comes to pass when someone is I hasten to say the mastermind, but certainly the driving force behind a sound.
Yeah.
It's not a band, but it's one person who's kind of like, maybe you employ people to come in here and there, but
Hmm.
it's your vision.
Yeah, you're the artist. It's your vision. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you can do something that is very, very much, it may have elements of this, that, and the other, but it's not derivative. You've struck gold
Yeah.
because you've done something that is very singular of vision. If you can do that, you're capable of much more than most people are, because
Yeah.
everything we listen to with a great, very minor degree of certainty, actually, is derivative of something. We're
Yeah.
all ripping off Bob Dylan. We're all ripping
Yeah.
off the Ramones and the Clash, or Gorilla Biscuits and Sick of It All, or Slayer and Anthrax. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're all
Yeah.
ripping somebody the fuck off. But if you can do it so well that you cannot tell where the frame of reference is, you're doing something incredible.
Totally. I mean, well, all the best art
Truly, in
steals, right?
my
That's
opinion.
that's what they say. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, totally. That's just you
That's
got to
what they
figure out how to
say.
get away with it.
Well, you have to figure out how to make it so personal that
Yeah, that's what it is.
it doesn't resemble your
Exactly.
influences,
Exactly. You're personalizing it. Yeah, maybe that's storytelling. Who knows? Like, I feel like you're able to like distract enough with how you're either singing the words or the words themselves, or like the emotional impact of the chord progression or something. Maybe that's part of what makes that successful. You know what I
Well,
mean? The way it's told.
what makes Bob Dylan different from Phil Oakes makes him different from Pete Seeger,
Yeah. Yeah.
or Woody Guthrie. Like, where does it become very singular and emotional? They're all very different artists in their way, but
Yeah.
they're all folk artists, and they're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
protest artists.
Yeah.
And I love them all, but by the time it makes its way to Bob Dylan, it becomes something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know
mean,
what I
he's got
mean?
vision, he had a vision that he wanted to like, and he had something to say. Like I feel like that's a big part of it too. Like if there's like an intention to say something, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like in this way, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I mean, I feel like that's part of the thing that I was able to achieve on this. Like, this is one of the first times that I've been able to like say what I mean what I say in my songwriting,
And
like,
you definitely meant it, because that comes across.
nice. Thanks, man. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like this was one of the first times I could do that and be like, I think that maybe proud of what I said, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, wait, what did I say?
But that's, if you can be proud of it, that's a beautiful thing,
Totally.
because if you could just have an intention and give it impetus and give it a verbiage
Mhm.
that can translate, that is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sets it in stone and makes it something that will last.
Makes it, yeah. There you go.
I don't,
Longevity. That's how you achieve it.
the longevity is how you achieve it. And we've been going on for a while, and I only have one format and one question that I ask everyone, and I guess I may
Yeah.
as well throw it at you now.
Please.
The idea of this show is basically this. I asked every artist the same question: what is it that terrifies you on an existential level? Because that is the great leveler of all human beings.
On an existential level.
Yes.
What terrorizes me?
What terrifies you?
Or terrifies me, excuse me, terrifies me.
Yeah.
Existential. I feel like that question just terrified me on an existential level. I'm just like, oh my God. I don't know, man. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to sit here for a second and marinate on this because yeah, I feel like things out of my control, when I look at things like things that are out of my control, or rather out of my direct circle of influence that I feel are problems that should be fixed, maybe like things that you like think. It's so hard to say what things are because of like the way that they're told, stories that are told, but like I feel like when I read about like things like climate change, I'm just like fucking, properly terrified and like just extremely like frustrated at the same time because I feel like it's something that should be like, within a solvable problem.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be like a priority necessarily to everybody, which is terrifying, and just having to sit by and watch everything happen. I'll mail in my ballots, I'll do my parts, but just like things like to see things like that terrifies me. I feel like just watching a building crumble when you could have just put some mortar on the side of it, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because we have the poles melting and we have, species dying at an alarming rate. And all we have to do is just cut back on fossil fuels. And,
Well,
I mean,
all we have to do, there's a lot that we have to do, I think. But,
right.
I mean,
but we've known for 45 years, man, like since I was a small child, this has been a topic of conversation.
yeah,
I remember
totally.
being very young and, my Vietnam veteran uncle and father and, all of them hippies, my mother included. This was a topic of discussion. This was never far from my purview. This got discussed on a weekly basis at home. And it was a topic of concern.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same token, my dad's speaking of this rhetoric, but he's in the construction industry. And then I'm in the construction industry because like, I go to college for an English degree. And what am I good at? Being a fucking plumber like dad, but like you have to figure out what your part is in it. And how you can most directly impact it, and it's our voices that most directly
circle of influence.
Yeah,
it's just like it's but I mean, like I feel like if I'm screaming and so I guess my lack of like influence in my circle of influence is something that terrifies me.
Sure, but that's all of us.
But is that existential? Is that an existential?
Yes.
Am I reading the question right? Am I getting this right?
You are getting it right because let's think about it. Really, you're I have no mouth and I need to scream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I have something to say, but I have no means to say it. I know what's wrong, but I don't know how to tell everybody this is wrong. It's like George Orwell without a fucking notebook, but he knows 1984 is happening.
Yeah.
That's the terror. The terror truly is,
It's that, yeah, you really summed it up nicely. But yeah, it's those dreams that you're having where you just can't run fast enough or just can't run at all or move, it's just like, yeah, it is that. And that's like, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like I always try to like balance things out and try to look at the other side of the argument, and like, or just try to like put myself at ease by saying that I'm just a passenger on this ship, and I'm just like,
As we all are.
as we all are. And I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to like, calm myself down enough so I can go to bed.
Yeah, because you just need to get some fucking sleep, and that's the truth of it. Like, I can ruminate on this all night, but I'm not going to solve it, and I just need to function tomorrow.
Totally, exactly.
Yeah,
Like, because I'm definitely the kind of person that will spin my wheels if I get momentum there, and like kind of just run in circles with arguments in my head and it just turns into an echo chamber of like too many ideas,
That's the plight of the artist, sir.
Yeah.
And that's truly it. Like, if you can't get out of your own way, but you could write a song about being depressed, guess what? You're an artist.
There it is, man. I think it's, if you can just say it well, right? That's an artist. An artist is someone that can say it well in their medium,
Yeah, and not having any bones about it. Like, okay, this is my mind. Deal with it or fuck you. That's
some shit though, man. I mean, that's a stance that's not easy to get to. You know what I mean? The confidence to be able to like firmly state your opinion and then just be like, boom, that's it. It's out there. This is me. That takes a lot.
That
to,
takes
like, really say it,
You have to get past not only who you are, but you have to get past who you were raised to be and who your parents said was a good person. And like, you need to transcend a lot of expectations in order to get to the point where you're confident enough to allow yourself to have a persona as an artist.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I've ever gotten there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird, it's a weird balance too, though. I mean, I feel like there's like this, I'm not entirely sure how to say this stuff, but it's like, I feel like there's this like insistence from people to like get to know you more, to know who you are, the artist, like get on social media and expose yourself in a vulnerable way that like lets people feel like familiar with you. And that's cool, but like it just feels so dangerous to be such like a, not dangerous, but like just like intimidating to like kind of like feel like you're putting yourself out there. And we're trying to gain some followers here to let people know about the music and the artist and like what we're doing. And I want you to check that shows out and like, and like come hear it. And like everybody's learning out about you. And then if your audience is growing, then it's just this, you're putting more of yourself out to more of like,
say goodbye to your anonymity.
Eyes without a face. Well, no, not even you, but like who sees you? More people see you that you can't see. And I feel like that's like a dangerous prospect because you just like,
it stops.
It's hard to articulate. What's that?
It stops being personal.
It stops being personal, and it's like I feel like there's just like a like you're open to like a lot of different like I don't know, people that have. I'm having a hard time like articulating exactly what I'm thinking here, but it's just like I feel like overall the artist like exposes themselves a lot, and the fan like kind of like, or the people that are like watching that like grow to expect that person to be there for them every day when they open up their Instagram account, and it just creates this like imbalance of just like I just don't feel like the artist can really like provide enough for like everybody's attention. Maybe that's what it is at the end of the day. Sorry, I took a lot of airtime just like
no.
Over,
I get to edit. That's the great part about this. We're not live, so
good. Whew.
And what makes sense about that is like, think about, we loved Quicksand back in the day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We knew them through previous bands, through flyers. Our expectations of them though were, we go to see a show, it's great, we get to talk to them at the end of the show, and it's personable and it's real.
Mm-hmm.
But we come from a space and a time where that's not an open dialogue all the time. Okay. We have the Village Voice. We have, flyers. We don't have a way to tap into them on a daily basis, 24/7, 365, with the advent of social media. Even like, when I'm a kid, what was the messenger app on the internet? IRC.
Like for like chat rooms and shit.
Yeah, internet relay chat. Yeah,
the relay chat. Yeah.
that didn't even happen until I was in my 20s.
Oh yeah, dude. I was well, maybe I was 19 when I got my first email address.
Yeah, but still, like, our expectations of the artists that we were fans of in that time period had nothing to do with engagement on a daily level.
No, not at all. It was
they made good
if you
music.
Put a record out once a year, I'm happy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go to the store. Maybe I'm going to go at midnight on a Tuesday because, the album drops on a Wednesday, and some stores did this thing where, did they do that in Scranton where like they would open at midnight on like Tuesday or Wednesday morning technically and like sell the record. I went and got in line, and like I invested my time and energy into finding this record and bringing it home with me. And now I have like this thing in my hand, a personal thing that I can look at, an art that I can read, liner notes that I can read, and like things that I can like occupy my mind and eyes with while I listen to the album. And it was like, that was what I was doing. I'm not just like scrolling for something to like shoot dopamine into my brain. I'm just like, I'm doing something. I'm listening to this record and I fucking feel this. And that's why one record a year was enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, I was happy with that.
Because it's a tactile experience that
too. Yeah, exactly.
That engagement, it occupied more than one sense. You
Totally.
weren't just, taking it in as like a personal thing, like, okay, I'm going to engage this person on the internet. You had something to hold in your hands. You can smell it. You can see it.
Yeah, you can feel it. That's like,
you can feel those liner notes. You could look at it and be like, who else are they involved with? What other bands are they friends with?
Right. Exactly.
Who are the other bands I could get into via this band, via a thanks list or what have you? Totally. That was the experience. I'm afraid for these people that are even 15 years younger than us, because that's not their experience. Their experience is instant gratification.
Yes.
Via a download. Okay. Yes. They didn't work for listen, in the 80s, full disclosure, I don't know if I've ever told anyone this on the podcast. I used to lie about having to be on free lunch when I was in elementary school and junior high school, because I was feeding an addiction to Alternative Tentacles records and Amphetamine Reptile records and Sub Pop. I used to take that free lunch money that my parents would give me, and then I'd go to school and say I was on free lunch. I would take that money and subscribe to Singles of the Month clubs and order 7-inches from mail order pamphlets that came in other records. Like, I was a snake about it. Plus I had paper routes. But that's how I was on the first Sub Pop Singles club. That was my personal connection, though. Like, you would get this thing. It was something you could look forward to.
Totally.
And these guys are going to come and play the arcade in your town. I went to see 7 Seconds when I was like 13 years old in an arcade a couple blocks from the house I grew up in.
Nice. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a thing. Yeah. That was something that actually happened. That was a real experience that I felt a real emotion for. And, I got to meet Kevin Seconds. I got to, like, that was something real. Even these kids that just love through engagement on social media, they're not making that connection. Yeah. What I find really incredible about this record that is about to drop, there is something so inherently personal that upon listening alone, it feels personal to me. It feels it feels very tactile to me, and I don't have a fucking record in my hands.
Yeah.
and of course, I do have a past with your music, going way back, but there's something about this one that just really feels the same as what inspired it.
Yeah.
Because there
Thanks,
there is
man.
I, my pleasure, because it does feel that real to me. Does it feel that real to you? Does it feel really like?
Oh my God, yeah, dude, 100%. Like I feel like so part of this thing, part of the excitement I'm having about it is like, well, number one, like as I was saying a bit ago, it's the first time that I've gotten to like compose with my principal instrument
Mhm.
in like a decade, you
Yeah,
know?
you're
So
a drummer. You're a fucking drummer on
exactly.
this record.
Exactly. And so like having like, you know, being back in my comfort zone where it's just like easy and fluent and just like effortless to sort of move in directions rhythmically, whatever I want to do, you know,
Mhm.
like being able to like, you know, operate Logic easy enough to kind of just and have the mics and like engineer myself easy enough to like record it and do it all. It's like it's all it's there. It's dialed in. And so it's just kind of like made
Dana,
a
this
lot.
is a jazz.
It gave me a
It's a jazz record. It's a jazz record, in my
well,
opinion.
yeah. Yeah, I would say well, it's like pop too though. It's like jazz pop.
Yeah, it's jazz though. It's jazz to me.
Yeah, it definitely has that. Like there's a lot in the yeah, there's a lot in there that is that. And I mean, I'm definitely a huge fan of that. I mean, like well,
I
I
am
was
too.
referencing Jeff Parker a moment ago, you know, like
Yeah.
he's my currently he's my dude like of like modern jazz artists. Like he's the guy that I go to for just to, he's just my favorite. I just feel informed by his opinion of what, you know, like his like Sweet for Max Brown and the
Yeah.
New Breed, like
Yep.
those records have just been like just I
That's like
can't
me with
stop
Sun.
listening.
Me with Sun Ra. Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, dude, Sun Ra's been on heavy rotation on the house. Like Jamie, my wife loves Sun Ra and like just kind of is always putting it on Sunday mornings, you know, and so we kind of like we celebrate him a lot in the house.
I'm married into jazz royalty though. My wife is a Lucy, and her great uncle is Lawrence Lucy. He played with Duke Ellington. He played with Billie Holiday.
Damn, dude.
That's built into my son. And
It's a pretty,
my dad was a
pretty
jazz drummer, and he was good. He played with Muddy Waters, but her great uncle imbues this house with the spirit, focus, and glory of true
yeah.
jazz guitar playing. So
Nice, dude.
yeah,
That's beautiful. That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's really incredible, man. Like those that Duke, the Duke was Duke, man. Like that's jazz royalty.
Absolutely. But for you to kind of adhere to that, and
Yeah,
to
man.
have that as part of your cadre, that's
Well, that's like
incredible.
it's kind of like where I not where I started. Well, I mean, when I was so the drums were like the last instrument I came to. I started with saxophone when I was 8 and upright bass. My brother taught me upright bass at the same time,
That was my
and then I
first
got a upright. Nice,
upright.
dude.
Yeah,
There's something about like hugging that bass when you to play it, like
it's
to just to
sex.
physically have to get around it. It's fucking yeah,
It's
it's sexy.
it's
It's
sex.
cool. It's cool. It's really cool. But then I got a guitar when I was 12 or so, and then finally drums when I was 14. And so that was the last instrument I came. Well, I mean, I picked up banjo and things since then, but like one of by the time I got to that, I was just like, I fell in love with it. I was like, this
Yeah.
is me. This is what I'm doing. This is how I want to talk. But I got into studying jazz with a book, The Art of Bop Drumming by John Riley.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know the book. I know the
you know
book.
the book. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a teacher up at. He taught at SUNY Purchase. I know for a long. Maybe he's still there. I don't know. But he was the dude, and that I wanted to like. I wanted to go to school there and like learn or teach or study with him and like just I was really inspired by that as a kid, just jazz in general, just because it was so like fucking just fluid and like it was just cool, man. It was just like
It's
the way that
visceral
like
as
drummers,
fuck.
yeah, totally. Like you watch Elvin Jones and he's just like, and you're just like,
Yeah.
yes, please, tell me
Yep.
more.
He's
But
talking. He's talking with cymbals and fucking snare. Like,
dude, he's the guy. He's my dude.
yeah,
He's my dude. I I
yeah.
I love his playing. He's good.
But that's storytelling with an instrument, and I could see
Yeah.
where that can inform what you're doing here too. I mean, there's so much room for, like, you don't even need vocals, but you still include them, and
Oh yeah.
that's what I really appreciate, because there's actually, like, if you were to just strip them away, it would still make sense, but then
Yeah.
you throw them in too,
Yeah.
and it becomes something else. Then there's a narrative. To add a
Yeah.
narrative to something that already has impetus and already has soul, spirit, and a story,
Yeah.
I I,
Well, I
I kind of
think
have to
that's
appreciate
something.
that.
There's something about like hearing people talk to you, right? Like I feel like when
Mhm.
as a listener, as like as a person engaging with a record, like I feel like there's something about hearing somebody say words to you that is just it. You don't have to be a musician, you know what I mean? Everyone can relate to that. And so like knowing that this record, I mean not know, but like I intentionally made it, it's like a muso kind of record, it's like there's the weird chords and like the metric modulations and like just polyrhythms and things going on that are very muso. So you can appreciate that as a musician, but also like for people that don't necessarily see that happening, to get like just to get words in your head to sort of spark the imagination. I think that's an important thing to kind of keep the listener like engaged, just to kind of like invite them into
Yeah,
the scene, to like be, yeah, this is a party for everyone. Come on, check this out, you know. Because I mean, you can be I get turned on by like fucking players that are good at their instrument, you know what I mean? And I feel like and that's a thing for most people. Like, it's like it's cool to watch like a performer that's good at their craft and like do it. And so I think that like if you can give them an entrance like with the vocals maybe, then they can like experience some of these musical passages that are like, more heady and kind of just have an interesting experience with that.
that was the Billie Holiday of it all, was, taking a vocalist who had maybe not the most virtuous voice, which beautiful voice, Billie Holiday, but
Oh yeah.
the
Incredible.
storytelling was the true driving force.
Yeah.
But the music behind Billie Holiday was just virtuosity to the
Yeah.
nth degree. You're talking about some of the most important and incredible jazz players, Ornette Coleman,
Hmm.
like there's John Coltrane. Uh, they all played with her. Duke Ellington played with her. Um, you put that voice ahead of that completely literate and insurmountable music,
Hmm.
it grants a credence to the voice as well.
Hmm.
No,
Totally.
no matter what she's saying, and what she always said was something very important. I mean,
Mm.
Strange Fruit. Hmm.
Strange fruit. Yeah, 100%, man. I mean that's some dark shit, but like
It doesn't. But does it get any heavier than that? It doesn't. It
seriously,
does
seriously,
not.
seriously.
You're not going to find a song that has more meaning and more depth and more consequence than
Yeah,
Strange Fruit. Strange
yeah,
fruit hanging from the poplar tree.
yeah. That's not something you're supposed to see as another person.
No, it's terror. That's
It's
that's
yeah,
unholy terror.
yeah.
Um, Now that's not where we're coming from, but where we're coming from with your record is still coming from a place of the same depth with a different message, because you're speaking from the soul, just as Billie Holiday did, just as Bob Dylan did. But you're talking about something a bit lighter,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but with
100%.
the same amount of love and the same
Yeah,
amount of intent, and it feels real
yeah.
the whole
Thanks,
way
man.
through. The whole way through
Yeah,
for me.
I yeah, thank you, man. I mean, like, I feel like that was. Uh, I feel like I don't know if I've ever. Well, I mean, I don't know if I can really say, but like, uh, not wanting to like leave any potholes in the record, was big to me on this one. Just
Mhm.
kind of like make sure that that it's a good listening experience all the way through. You know what I mean? I'm like engaged the entire time,
Yeah.
and I think that JP at Everloving, JP Punier, he helped me with producing this in this record, and so what he was bringing to the table was a lot of just like, we're gonna take out like just like let's drop this verse or chop it off altogether, you know, like let's make big changes, let's cut pieces apart and like put it back together in different ways. And having him come in with like those ideas was super fresh because it's like I feel like you don't like the songs were all like longer. Like if you were to go back and like play each song to the record to the Plantasia song that I wrote it to, like there you'll notice some differences because I did like edit parts like that with JP. But it really brings it to life, the record to life in a way that's like super exciting because sometimes like I would be victim to like verse chorus. Why? Just because there's why two verses? I don't know. It's just what a song was, maybe, you know. And so like that's
We
not the
grew
case
up on the
with this record.
Beatles.
Yeah, exactly, totally. And so, but
Yeah.
that's not the case with this. This is like, you know, JP was like, this first chorus part, this shit's boring. Chop it, go on.
Yeah.
Get me to the chorus, and it was super successful. And it was really a cool, fresh approach. It was the first time I was like, uh, brought somebody else in to kind of like help with that part of the songwriting process. You know, to kind of like be an editor.
We're getting deep though.
We're getting yeah.
Yeah, totally. I might have been walking myself into the weeds a little bit there, but you know.
No. I have a tendency of getting deep into the weeds myself. I mean, I'm a music lover. This is my part and parcel. This is my stock and trade. I love getting deep into it. I love really examining what makes someone want to create, because I'm a creative myself. I'm in a band myself. This is what I do. So to get someone else's opinion on what it is to be a creative creature always intrigues me to the nth degree. But you know, it seems like you're out there on the island. You're really
totally.
You're really clipping out on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's not your fault, man. It's
Sorry, I was on the front porch because it was warmer out there, or it was cold, or it get cold out there. So I had to come inside.
Dude, it's okay. Listen, we've been at it for an hour and a half. I mean, if it can come through, if you could tell us one thing you would want the world at large to know about this record, what would it be?
You know, I got a lot to say, and so boiling it down to one thing that they should know about this. You should know that this could be your favorite record. I mean, if you give it a shot, this could be your favorite record. I want you to know that.
It's my favorite Dana Buoy record, I can tell you that.
Mine too. But no, I don't know. I guess it's I don't know. What do I want them to know about it? It's good. I mean, it's really good. It's, you know, I'm proud of it. It's something that I'm stoked about. It's worth a shot. I want you to know it's worth a shot. That's what I want you to know. World at large, it's worth a shot. You know what I'm saying?
It's real though. Like, and that's what I think I want the world to know about it, because there is something organic and in a not so obvious way. Yes, of course it's based on like plants and, you know, like the lifespan of such, but like having a close proximity to something natural is going to inspire something natural within the human spirit. So it's going to imbue a lightness of being.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what you're doing here. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
Well,
that's
no,
kind of what I'm gleaning from it.
I mean, it feels like a pretty good observation just because that's kind of like that's my approach. That's my my MO, my party trick, the guy that's just kind of like, free and easy, right? And so, I mean, perhaps it's just something that translates in that, but yeah, that's me.
But I mean, it doesn't come off as being, I guess, a party trick, as you say, or something that's forced, or putting on airs. There's something very just organic about it, and I'm not
Thanks,
being on
man.
the nose, very real about it. It just feels like it came out the way it came out, and you didn't fuck with it. Here's what it
Yeah,
is. Here's what you got. I hope you
yeah,
love it.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah.
That's the size of it.
And then you shoot it through the prism of a member of Tortoise.
Right, yeah. Exactly. We just grind it through the gears of the tortoise and see what happens. Yeah.
I guess so. I guess to kind of like allow you to get away from me tonight. What else would you What else would you like to leave us with tonight? Because I could talk to you all night, but you're trying
Me
to enjoy
too.
yourself.
I know. I would love to chat all night too. I really would. I mean, I could talk about myself all day. But I just started. I just started getting the text of we got to leave in 10 minutes for dinner.
Yeah. I had a blast talking to you tonight. You got to go. I've got to
Me
go.
too.
I've got a
Yeah.
little one. But,
Yeah, totally. Peter, thank you so much for having me. This was really great to be with you. I appreciate you taking the time.
I appreciate you as well. And listen, the next record comes out, come to me. I would love to talk to you again.
Cool.
It's so much
I'll
fun.
try to be on
I've
the
been
mainland.
a fan. I've been a fan of your music since the 2000s, early 2000s, and I appreciate everything you do. I can't wait to do this again.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me. This was really been fun.
I'll hit you up and let you know when it's going to come out, and we'll talk
Please,
again. All right.
please do. Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome, my
All right,
friend.
Peter, take it easy.
See ya.
All right.
Bye-bye
See ya.
now.
All right, everybody. That was my interview with Dana Janssen. From Angels of Light, Splinter Reeds, Akron Family, and Dana Buoy. Experiments in Plant-Based Music Volume 1 could very well be your favorite album. You just don't know it yet. So go out there. You don't have to go far. Just go to wherever you listen to music, be it Bandcamp, be it Spotify, be it Apple Music, wherever, Tidal, and look for Dana Buoy, courtesy of Ever-Loving Records. Experiments in Plant-Based Music Volume 1. And let it consume you. Of course I had fun with this episode. I have fun with every episode, but Dana comes from similar places that I do. Similar music leanings, similar places, residences, similar cities. We're both from Pennsylvania. We both went to New York City. We both created strange and wonderful music, inspired by the likes of Tortoise, Sonic Youth, the Swans. He got to play with members of the Swans, Micheal Gira. He's seen a lot, he's done a lot, and he's going to do a lot more, but not without your help. So go out there and stream like your life depends on it. Listen, folks, we've been doing this over a year and a half. I'm having so much fun, but I can't do this without your help. You can donate and you can become a paid member, but I'm not asking for that right now. I mean, it'd be great, but what I really, really like from you all is to listen, to like it wherever you listen to your podcasts, subscribe to it, rate it, and review it. Furthermore, if you want to go that extra mile for me, on Instagram or Facebook, the Book of Very, Very Bad Things, social media, just follow that and share my posts. Tell your friends. That cosign means more to me than money, than anything. That way we can get the ads to pay for everything, and it's all for free for you. So with that being said, he's been Dana. I've been Peter. You've been beautiful. And from 3:33 a.m. Studios, this has been the Book of Very, Very Bad Things podcast. Take care of each other. Be good, be safe, and enjoy your holidays. I know I will. Bless you all. Goodbye. For more information on the artist tonight, please go to www.danabuoy.com. That is DANABUOY.com.